In this session, we will discuss about SQL Server Reporting Services subscriptions. Reporting services has a feature called subscriptions, where you can subscribe to individual reports. So when you subscribe to a report, SSRS generates a snapshot of the report and it delivers you to depending on the schedule. That means, let's say you want to see the report daily at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you want to get that report as an email or as a file in a share. So you want to get the report every day delivered to you, so that you can go and see the report, the snapshot of the report as of 9 a.m. So if you are looking for time sensitive information and you want to see the report data exactly how it was at 9 a.m. So you can do a subscription where SSRS can deliver the snapshot of that report at a given schedule. So when I said snapshot, it executes the report, it executes the queries underneath the report and generates the report and send it to you. So once the report is generated and sent to you, that report is not going to change. So it will be a static file. So there are two kinds of subscriptions available within SSRS. One is a standard subscription, where we manually set the subscription, configure the subscription. That means, when do I want to get the report, what kind of report I need to get, and what is the email address I need to get, or what is the file share I need to drop the file to. Those kind of configurations we do manually. The other kind of subscription available is data driven subscription. In data driven subscription, we get these configuration details from the database system. So for example, let's say our warehouse application has a metadata tables, right, where you have the all users list and the reports they are interested in, and their delivery mechanism, whether you want to deliver it to a drop to a share or send it to email. All these configurations, let's say we are talking under a table, in a metadata table in the database. So if you have that kind of a data, you can dynamically get the data and create the subscription, instead of manually entering the information into the reporting services subscription data. So those are the two options available for subscription. These are called standard subscription and data driven subscription. And there are two delivery options. One is delivery option is how you want the report to be delivered to you. So one of the options available is email delivery, where SSRS can send email to the address we provide in the subscription. Or the other option is file share delivery. That means SSRS can drop the report file to the share we provided. For the email delivery to work, the SSRS report needs to have SMTP configured. That means we need to have SMTP server that can send emails. SSRS by itself cannot send email. SSRS uses SMTP server to send the emails. So you need to have SMTP configured on the server, so that, or you should be using your SMTP server to send the email, but you need to have the SMTP server so that SSRS can use that SMTP server to send the email. Whereas in file share, it is straightforward. All we need to have is the file share and access to the file share. So SSRS needs to have access to the file share to dump the file, report file. So we'll see an example how we can set the subscriptions in SSRS. To set the subscription, we need to go to the reporting services URL, where we have our reports. So this is my SSRS server, where I have hosted my reports, and I want to create a subscription for one of the reports. And one prerequisite for subscriptions to work is excuse me, the data source. Underneath the data source need to have a credentials defined, because generally when we upload the reports or when we host the report, the way we set the security at the data source is get the user account from the logged in user. That means whoever is browsing the reports, we want the report to get that account from the logged in user using Windows authentication. But when a subscription is set up, there is nobody logging into the system, right? Nobody is browsing the report, it is automatically generated. So at that time SSRS needs an account to run the queries against the SQL server or analysis services, whatever is the data source. So we need to specify that account in the data source. We need to specify whatever account we want to use in the data source. To specify the security or to specify the execution account, I go to the data sources folder and select the data source, say manage, and the properties under credentials. In general we keep this one, login user with the credentials or as the user viewing the report. So essentially we will have Windows authentication. Windows authentication means the user, whoever is logging into the reporting services, we will use that account, logged in account, to authenticate against the database. But when you are setting up the subscription, we need to provide those credential details. So we need to select this option using the following credentials, where we provide the credentials. The credentials means the account details, who has access to the database system. Most of the times you will provide a service account that can access the data source. And once you provide this account, say test connection, which will validate your credentials and make sure that this account can access to the database. So here in this case it says connected successfully, that means this account is working. Now once this is done, go back to home and click on the reports. Now I want to enable subscription for one of the reports. So my report is, I want to pick a basic report where I want to enable subscription. Select this report, go to manage, and you should be seeing a option for subscriptions. Click on the subscriptions and click on new subscription. So this is the subscription configuration page where we can specify all the details or configuration details. So I will say it as standard subscription. I am just naming it as a standard subscription, and the owner is the account, and the type of the subscription. As we talked earlier, there are two kinds of subscriptions available: standard subscription and data driven subscription. So in this case I want to go with standard subscription. So next step is to set up the schedule. When do I want the report to be delivered? So the delivery option is the schedule. There are two options here again, shared schedule and the individual schedule. Shared schedule means you create one schedule for all the reports. Let's say there are 10 reports and you want the reports to be delivered at one time. So you create one shared schedule and then use that schedule here, same as shared data source, and in this case I want to create individual schedule, because I don't have a shared schedule. So I'll select this option, report specific schedule, edit schedule, and I want to generate the schedule at some time. Let's say it's 2 a.m. I will say 10:22 a.m. Apply. So my schedule is set up. So I have set up the schedule to deliver at every day at 10:22 a.m. and the destination, where do I need to, what is the delivery mechanism, right? There are again options under delivery mechanism. One is email option, the other is Windows file share option. Email option, as I was saying, for email option to work we need to have SMTP running. So since I don't have SMTP on this machine, I cannot demonstrate email, but it is straightforward. If you have SMTP, you will set up that email account and it should work. So since I want to try this file share, I pick the file share option, and when we pick the file share option, we need to provide what is the share name and what is the file name. File name will be generally the report name, but you can change, and the path. Path is place where I want to drop, or path is the place where the report should be dropped. So for example, if I take my share, I have a share called SSRS report, SSRS share. So I will use this share, and my format, I can pick multiple formats. There are multiple available formats here: Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, TIFF and all. So let's say I want to pick PDF file, because that is the general format. You will pick either PDF or Excel. Those are the two formats generally we see. Okay, so to access the file share, use the following user credentials. So I provide the user credentials. These are the credentials used to access the file share, and the option is overwrite an existing file with a newer version. If the file already exists, overwrite the file, or increment the file names as a newer version. So when there are new version, you just keep adding new files to the share. And I will change my schedule little bit because it's already, I want to test it. So create subscription. So it has created the subscription now. Okay, if we go to my share, so this is my report I already generated earlier using older subscription. So we will see, we'll wait for another minute to see if the report file comes in. So at 10:24, as per my schedule, I got the new report being generated, sales by product basic. So let's see that report. So it's a basic report that we created earlier by year, and it is generated the report for all years 2012, 13, 14, 15 and all, right. So that's a basic report, or the report what we subscribed for. So like this we can use subscriptions to get the report generated and delivered to the different using different delivery mechanisms. We can get the reports delivered to us based on the time. So generally these subscriptions are useful if let's say there are 100 different users, and you don't want all 100 users to go and run the report, right, because it's unnecessarily so many users hitting the report and creating overhead on the server. And when 100 users are running the report, what they are doing, they are actually just seeing the same information on their desktops. So instead of running the reports or running the report 100 times by 100 users, you generate the report once and deliver to everyone so that they can all see the report. So that will be more efficient than you asking all 100 users to come and access the report. So again, some cases this option may not be viable or may not be useful. The cases are like let us say users want to see the current latest information, not the canned historical information. So when you are saying subscription, this is the static information. This report is generated at a given schedule, and whenever you see this report, the numbers are not going to change. These are the snapshotted information, the information as of that schedule. But if users want to see the latest numbers, they need to go to the report and run the latest queries. That means they need to go to the report and run the queries on latest data. So in those scenarios, these subscriptions may not be useful, but otherwise if users want to see a picture of the data as of morning, right. So in that case, users don't really care about each minute to minute changes. They want to see overall health daily in the morning. So in that case, you can set up subscriptions and give the reports to everyone, so that they can see the reports offline without hitting the reporting services server. And as I was saying, there is another option called data driven subscription. Data driven subscription is useful in real time applications, because you don't want to manually configure these subscriptions. Here in this case, I have put a share because we are delivering it to the report to the share. But in general scenario, you will be using emails, because you want to send the report via a email. So in that case, you don't want to basically add 100 different email addresses here. So instead, the other option is to create a DL and use that DL in this SSRS report, and to the DL you add 100 users. Or the second option is maintain all the user emails into a database system and use data driven subscription. And data driven subscription is also useful in scenarios where you want to generate report for current year or maybe current month, right. So every day when you are generating a report, you don't want to generate for all 5 years, you want to generate for current year, or maybe even you want to generate the report for current month. In that case, the current month value you can pass through the subscription. So let us see an example how to do data driven subscription. So I will take the same report and I will create another subscription for this one, but this time it is going to be a data driven subscription. I will click on new subscription and I will name it as data driven. In case of data driven, the difference between standard subscription and data driven subscription is the subscription configuration details are coming from the data. In case of standard subscription, the configurations are manually configured by the user or by the developer. But whereas in data driven subscription, the configuration values come from the data. So I click on data driven subscription and I select the delivery mechanism as Windows file share, and when we select data driven subscription, it asks for the data set. What is the data set I should be using to generate those configuration values? So since we are using data driven subscription, I need to create a data set as well, because I need to have a data set that returns the configuration values, right. So I need to create a data set. So I will say edit data set, which will create me a data set, and here I want to basically create a query that returns the configuration values. So this is my query to return the configuration values. I am just returning 2 values, and this is same for returning all other configurations, anything we want to return. So when I execute this query, I just get the report name and the share name. So I want to use these configurations from the data, and the remaining configurations I want to do manually. Copy, paste it here, and change the data source, select the data source, validate query, validation successful, click apply. So now I have set up the data source or data set, and once I have the data set, I need to select what are the fields that will be used for these parameters. These parameters are subscription parameters. So the file name, get the value from the data set. That means for the file name parameter, that means for the subscription file name, I want to get the value from the data set. The data set is the query I used, and my data set is returning 2 fields, report name and share. Right, these are the ones that are coming out of my report. So I want to use report name as my field, so it automatically selected. Then the path is the share. So I will say path is also coming from the data set, and my value is share. So the data set column name is share, that goes into the path, and the format I am not getting from the data source data set. So here my query returns only 2 values. The format I need to provide. So you can actually change this query. Let's say I put PDF as format. Okay, if I add this one as a format, shared data set, comma, apply. Now I can use from the data set. Format. Okay, so those are the values I picked. Now I need to change the subscription. Schedule, sorry. Click apply and create subscription. Now I will wait for the report to be generated. So it saved the report to the destination. The basic sales by product report. And one thing here is, when we do data driven subscriptions, one report is generated for each row that is returned from the query. So for example, here this query returns one row. So we got one report being generated. But let's say if we want to generate the report and store it into multiple shares, because the user groups are using different shares and they want to store or you want to dump the files into their own shares. So then what you can do is, you can write a query in such a way that it can return multiple rows. So for example, here I am just saying share 2. But in real world, you will write a query against a table in which you have the metadata stored, the share names by user. So when you run this query, it returns two reports or two results. Now if we use this particular query, we should be getting two reports generated. So let's say for example I want to say it as share 1 and I want to use the second report as share 2. Because I have only one share, I am using one share, but I am generating two reports for two copies of the same report. So if I take this one, go to my subscriptions, edit my data driven subscription, edit data set and paste it. So now this query returns two rows. Enter password my account, then validate the query validated, click apply, and these parameters will remain same. I don't want to touch any of those. And then I will go on, change the schedule to see the output being generated. Click apply. And again we will wait till the schedule completes. Okay, schedule complete. Now I see two copies of the report, share 1 and share 2. Both are basically the same basic report that is generated into two different copies. Like this we can generate n number of reports using data driven subscription. For each row this query returns, we get generated one report. And not only this, if let's say the SSRS report is expecting some parameters, like in one of the reports, with one of the search reports we had a year as an input parameter, right? So those scenarios we can send or we can pass a value from this query as well. So every time we generate the report, if you want to generate the report only for current year or current month, we can pass appropriate values from this query into this particular field. So the simple thing is, when you are setting up the subscription, it will ask for that particular parameter value, and we can set the parameter using from the data set. So if I go to subscriptions, for a report that has a field as a parameter, it by default asks for the value. So whether it's a data driven subscription or standard subscription, we need to pass the value. In case of standard subscription, we will be manually entering some value here, whereas in case of data driven subscription, we get the value from this query and we use that value here. So every time the report gets generated, it uses the value that is coming from the SQL query. That way you can pass a dynamic value. So every month you can generate that current month's report instead of generating the report for all the months. Like this, we can use subscriptions to automate the report generation and delivery. So we can create a snapshot of the report and use one of the delivery mechanisms available, and regularly we can automate report delivery. This is about reporting services subscriptions. If let's say there is an error within the subscription, we created a subscription, but somehow the report is not being generated and we are getting an errors. So if we go to our subscriptions, we can see the messages. Okay, if there is any error and if you want to troubleshoot, what we can do is we can access the log files. So reporting services generates a log files under the installation location. So under C or D, whichever folder you pick to install, you can go to program files, SQL Server, and the corresponding version of SSRS. This folder may change depending on your version, and reporting services log files. Under this you will see the latest file with your whatever the current date, and if you pick this file, you can see log information. So it will show whatever the activity happening on the subscriptions and report executions. So you can see errors like this, and based on the errors you can troubleshoot and fix the errors. That's how we can diagnose or investigate the issues. And the other way is going through the metadata tables. SSRS report maintains reporting services maintains some metadata tables under report server. You can use these tables to diagnose for diagnosis purposes. Okay, so that is about logging and diagnosis. You can investigate what is happening to the subscriptions. Execution log storage will give you the log information about all the executions happening in the SSRS, and notifications, events, all this is the metadata where we can get the health of the reporting services and the activity happening within the reporting services.